interesting midwinter retreat. It's a time to set ourselves apart, be family, enjoy God's presence, to become overcome by His presence. You know, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. But we dwell in the house of the Lord so He can fill us up, so we can then go to all nations, baptizing them, teaching them everything I've taught you. And lo, I'm with you always, even to the ends of the world. That means if God has called you out of a book, that He's prepared you for it. He's going to overcome you with His presence so that you can go be His hands and feet, His compassion, His competence in that place He's called you. So welcome, enjoy this weekend, enjoy being family, be overcome by God's presence. God bless you all.
You may be seated. One or two of our chief residents are coming forward. As she comes forward, I don't know if you guys knew, but our worship team up here was half of our third-year resident class. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you, Lord. And those of you on the live stream, you couldn't see Ella, but she was moving the slides for us. And our attending, Dr. Ledbetter, for the weekend is an honorary third year. And so, there we go. So if you can introduce yourself, Renee.
Yep.
And thank you.
Hey, I'm Renee Charian. I'm one of the chiefs. Sean, my husband, is the other one in the back. I just have a couple announcements. One, we're super excited to be here. I know some people are surprised to see us here, but we were happy to get out of the house. So we did just have a baby, for those that don't know. Just a couple announcements before we transition into the next part. For mothers of infants, there is the back row back here is reserved to sit in the back in case baby gets noisy or need to step out to breastfeed or anything like that. Bathroom locations, there's one in the main hallway and then one behind the dining hall. And then if you do have to step out for anything, the whole retreat is being recorded, so you can watch it later if you miss anything. And if you need access to the schedule, it is online at ihiretreat.com. So I think Dr. Rylander is up next.
Dr. Ed Rylander, for those of you that haven't met me, I'm the designated institutional official for the ACGME. If you have any needs or any contact information, I'm the man for that. I'm very honored today to be able to talk about the in-training evaluations that are done. And as most of you know, every year the ACGME and the American Board of Family Medicine wants to kind of see how good you guys are doing. And you've done well, and today I'm very honored to bring up Dr. Osley and Dr. Davis for awards. So, gentlemen will come forward. Dr. Osley has had a little bit of a change since he was senior. So, Dr. Davis is the most improved this year. Dr. Osley is the highest score. It made all of us take notice, so we have great congratulations for that. Thank you very much.
If you didn't get that straight, that was Mrs. Owsley. That was Dr. Owsley on the guitar, for some of you that don't know. But I think you should get the award for his high score. That's appropriate for a lot of reasons. So, yeah, thank you. Great to see everybody here. My name's Mitch Dunnick. I did run into one of the students that was visiting in the restroom the other day. You know how those restroom conversations go. And because we had masks on, he was able to say, "Well, who are you? Do you work here too?" And I said, "Yeah." I work here, so I don't know where he is. I saw him. Anyway, we'll catch up the other day. I've got a couple. Let me just thank everybody for coming. This is a big deal. And the fact that we can get together and be together and I think enjoy the presence of God, enjoy each other's company and fellowship and presence is a real treat and a real blessing, and we don't take that for granted. And I will thank these guys especially. That was about a 7 to 10 day, hey, by the way, what our plans fell apart, and I know you have nothing else to do but get some songs ready. But that was awesome. Thank you to the team for leading. They're going to... This may set a new precedent for midwinter retreat. We're just letting our folks lead. I'm going to give a couple awards here. We really like to recognize people and mention the fact when folks do well, the Bible says that we should give honor to those whom honor is due and in an appropriate way. And I'm going to give out a couple faculty awards for people that have been here with us for a long time. The first is for a gentleman who came from Philadelphia, and I remember our interview, and I remember when Dr. Acker came back, and I don't do it very often, but I did my best manipulative conversation saying, I really, really, really would love you to come here and join the residency. And so when Matt and Laura came and joined the residency, it was just such a huge blessing. When they finished, they went to Kazakhstan, spent 10 years there with a residency program, really a startup, doing medical missions, and now there's a training program and clinics that are flourishing there. And then they moved back to the States, and when they were moving back to the States, we had some conversations, and he started talking about Colorado. And I said, Colorado is boring. They have mountains, they have skiing, they have great hunting. It's really boring. You should come to Tulsa. I remember that too. And fortunately, the Holy Spirit directed Matt and Laura to come back and join us. Just such a huge blessing. So really, it's been a combined 15 years. Dr. Acker is the head of our sending agency, the In His Image International Sending Agency, and really recruits those of you who are called into international missions. And then once you're out there, takes care of people and serves them and loves them so well. And he and Laura working together, and their 4 kids growing up. And so it's been 15 years. So Matt, come up and get your award. We really appreciate you. It's heavy.
Thank you.
Can we do that? Okay. Awesome. What a blessing to have people that stay around, right? I mean, in a life, in a society where there's a lot of turnover. Now, sometimes, people can't find anywhere else to go. I've been here a long time because I couldn't find a job anywhere else. But others we hold on to, The second person I want to mention is also getting a 15-year award for being part of the In His Image training program and faculty. This gentleman and his wife came from the Bayou down in Louisiana, wherever that is, and kind of started actually a stream of people coming up to Tulsa from Louisiana. And one of the things I remember about Dr. Place, I remember when he was a faculty, he said, when I came here as a 4th-year student, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. The comparison between what I'd experienced and what I was getting. And then when I was a 1st year, I said, well, I really like this place. And then as a 2nd year, there's some good stuff here. As a 3rd year, it was like, I'm glad I'm graduating from here. And then he got on the faculty and he said, we have some issues. That's sort of the normal part of life. When I moved, Leah and I moved to Ghana for a couple years, then I was able to hand over really my whole patient population to Dr. Place. And when I came back and then they moved to China, they were quite unhappy that I came back because they really loved Dr. Place. But I think it also shows the degree that you can trust somebody when you trust them with people that you really love and care about. Chris Place has been an incredible blessing. He and Nanette and their kids spent 10 years or 10 or 11, close like that, in Macau, China, doing mission work, really pioneered a work there and starting a training program. And now Dr. Place directs our network of international family medicine training programs. Is a huge blessing here, and also does a lot in the residency, heads up our spiritual curriculum committee and these kinds of things. Just really want to thank you, Chris, and recognize you and appreciate you for what you've done. When they came home from China, he went and worked in an ER in Cleveland.
Not Cleveland.
Not Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio is really nice compared to Cleveland, Oklahoma. I know because I have patients from Cleveland drive all the way to Tulsa to find a doctor. There was great stories out there, and I remember for a year or two I said, really? The ER in Cleveland? we need help, brother. Come back home. And we're just so blessed that God brought you back and you're a part of this, and it's like always fully integrated. So let's thank Dr. Chris Place. It's heavy.
Got it.
We don't have enough time for everybody to talk, but I really would encourage you guys, with Dr. Place and Dr. Acker and their families, find some time, pick their brains. They've got a just incredible wealth of knowledge and skills, and they're just we're so blessed that they're a part of this thing. Another thing that we do is I mentioned the spiritual curriculum, and we have a spiritual curriculum committee. You know, we have committees for everything around here, and that's why everybody's on about 5 or 6 committees, because we have so many. But within this spiritual curriculum, we have special training sessions about, you know, how to share your faith, how to get with people, how to talk to people about Jesus. Medicine's uncomfortable. We ask people really bizarre questions, right? But sometimes sharing your faith with people is kind of uncomfortable too, and learning how to do that. This year, actually, in FMCM, I asked, it was in November, I asked 5 of our first-year residents, I said, how comfortable are you now in sharing your faith in an interaction with patients? I'd just like to know, like 0, I'm not going there. 1, I'm really just starting. 5, I'm pretty comfortable. And the thing that was exciting to me is it was mostly 3s and 4s. It's like, I'm pretty good. And then I asked something I'd never asked before, and I said, how comfortable were you back in June? And they were like, 0, 1 maybe. And I said, really? So in 5 months, you went from that to 3s and 4s. I think there was even a 4.5. You know, nobody can pick a, it's kind of like OB. How far is she dilated? 4.25. No, pick a number. There's no decimals in case I work with you. Don't give me a half or 3/4. Anyway, that was really exciting, but one of the big reasons is the contributions people make. And I want to show you something here. Dr. Jacob Gruel has really helped out in this area and really taken the lead in integration of faith and patient interaction, things like that. So we've got a video. Is it queued up here?
Let's see.
John, let's go. Let's see what we got here.
down in Alabama, and Dr. Gruhl here, that are 2 of the 15. So thank you for serving. And this is only the first 2 minutes. You got to catch the video for the rest of it. So
Thank you, John. That was awesome. That was John's idea to share that with, and a great idea. We're just here really to encourage people and to help people, and what is it? It's about preparing for the future. That's why we're here. Just in case you're wondering, the live stream is working. I'm up here jumping around on my phone, texting people that I think might be watching, and there's some people watching in Tulsa, and there's some people watching in Ohio, and there's people watching all over. So thanks to Drew. That's my son-in-law. He's dope, okay? Yeah, he's real good with this stuff. You guys know what dope means, right? Or is that out? My kids would say, Dad, dope was like 10 years ago. I'm kind of stuck on it. Let's see, here we go. All right, so we are really, really blessed and fortunate to have some folks that are joining us this weekend, speaking for us. I would say absolutely some of my absolutely most favorite people, not just by their personality and their character, but also by their lives and their lives of service and what they've done and how they've done it and where they've been. And you are really, really fortunate. You're really more fortunate than you know, and you'll realize later, wow, I got to be around those people and learn from those people and hear from those people. So our speaker for this morning is Dr. Warren Heffron. Dr. Heffron is the chairman of In His Image International. He's been on our board of directors for a lot of years, 10 years as our chairman, and he's been doing international trips within His Image for 20 years or more. Just really amazing. And how you've done that when you're 64 years old, Dr. Heffron, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how old Dr. Heffron is, but he's my hero, and I want to be like him when I'm old. But you're not old yet. There you go. That's about. Dr. Heffron has a 55-year career as a family physician and educator. He's been at the University of New Mexico for almost 50 years. He founded the residency there and was a professor, the chairman of the department. He got it all started, has helped start residencies in several places in New Mexico. He's been, I'm going to try to get this straight, the vice president of American Academy of Family Physicians, the president of the American Board of Family Medicine. Like, that's big stuff, right? He's been the president of the Board of Family Medicine in America. He's been the president of CMDA in the past. Warren, how did you do all this stuff? He was on the board of STFM, which is the Society of Teachers of Family Medicine, was president of the foundation. He was on the RRC, that's the Residency Review Committee for Family Medicine that approves programs around the nation. President of the New Mexico Medical Society, New Mexico Academy of Family Medicine, and just tons of stuff. And he's still doing stuff. He and his wife, Rosalie, have been just such a blessing. We had this brilliant idea some years ago and said, we should have some people come and join us. Maybe they can't live in Tulsa, but they just have so much to give to our faculty, to our residents, and they can be adjunct faculty and come to retreats and come and visit and come other times during the year, just pour their lives into us. So Dr. Warren Heffron and his wife Rosalie have done that for a lot of years. Dr. Paul Williams and Sophia, is Sophia here? She's somewhat, oh there, hi Sophia. They just came in from North Carolina, came in yesterday. So blessed. You need to get to know these people. Dr. Walt Larimore and his wife Barb have also been in that position, and they're unable to make it this weekend, but just really great. And we've got a brand new adjunct faculty that we added. Dr. Bill McCoy is here with us, and his wife Marcia. We're so blessed to have them here. Dr. McCoy was one of the first 2 residents in the training program. And if you talk to Dr. Crouch, you'll find out that they're right up there, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Bill, and Vince. I mean, but that's probably not true. I know it's not true, Bill, because I won't listen to John sometimes. But anyway, that's why these folks are here. So we're really blessed. And Dr. Heffron, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you've done for In His Image and for this place and for both the residency program and for international. He's done consultations all over the world. I think up to 60, maybe more, consultations with family medicine programs all over the globe, doing visits and workshops and faculty training seminars and setting up medical education as a form of missions, especially in some places where you can't go and say, hey, can I have a missionary visa? And they just look at you and walk away. But can I come and teach your doctors some things because I'm a doctor from America? Yeah, come on in. It's a great form of medical missions through medical education. So Dr. Heffron, thank you for coming.
Thanks, Mitch. He mentioned my age, and I love to tell people that I'm meeting with them and talking with them, oh, I'm 4 times older than you are. Along with that comes some problems such as hearing aids, which always pop off when you take your mask off. And it sounds like I'm not speaking into the mic. Is this functional now? Is it better? Okay. And it's been exciting to be a part of In His Image. I'm going to tell you about this morning a little bit about a very small niche, if you will, a sidebar item of the ministry that we call In His Image. It's called In His Image International. And a small niche within that niche is doing family medicine residency consultations in places where family doctors are not being trained frequently, and they almost never are being trained in a Christian setting and in a Christian venue. So I'd like to share just that one little niche. It's a very small part. It's not very well known. It's not very well known to a lot of people in this room even, because we've done it in the past with 1 or 2 people, and it's now expanding. So I'd like to just share a little bit about that. I'd like to have you imagine, if you will, just you close your eyes or open your eyes or just look, whatever you do, at this field, if you will, behind me. Not with post oak trees, but imagine that that's a farm. It's a small farm in a country called Judea, a couple thousand years ago. And that farm, very dry desert country, no rain like you have here in Oklahoma. People developed methods of farming in which they took little plots about the size of about 1/3 of this room, and they farmed them off, one adjacent to another, next to each other, and then between those little plots of ground, they built up little dikes, if you will, little paths. And these little paths permitted them to get around, and they sowed their seeds and things by broadcasting. They didn't have plows. And they put them in these little fields, these raised ditches, these raised paths, if you will, served as barriers to trap water, to keep water in these paths when they planted their fields, and it let them grow. And they walked along these paths, and these paths, these little elevated dikes, became very hard. They're almost stony hard. And so they walked along those dry country, and then they sloped down, and in the bottom of the field, and there would be a whole group of those little plots farmed across the countryside in their farms. And as they had developing those, they used those to grow their crops and to feed their cattle, to feed their people, to wheat for bread. And they used those as part of their livelihood. Just imagine you're standing there on those. Jesus came along and was very perceptive. He had he used the examples from those for teaching. And he used one, but it's recorded in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. The version of Luke 8, chapter 8, verses 4 through 8. We read that there came a great multitude and gathered, and they came to hear him from every city. A sower went out to sow his seed, and as he sowed, some fell by the wayside and was trampled down, and the birds of the air came and devoured it. Some fell on a rock, as hard as soon as it could be, and as soon as it sprung up, but it did not thrive. As soon as it was too dry, and it lacked moisture. Some fell on good ground and thrived, but for a short period of time. Thorns and thistles and other weeds came and grew and choked them out. But Jesus then went on to say that some of the efforts, some of the ministries that we have, some of the seeds fell on fertile ground. And they produced 30, 60, even 100 times what that one individual seed would have done. I think Jesus was perceptive. He let us know that not everything we do in our ministries is successful. Some never get off the ground. Some do get off the ground and wither. Some get off the ground and grow and thrive, but are choked out by other areas, other forces, while others thrive greatly. So there are four options, and Jesus warned us about these things. And Jesus told us all of the ministries that you're going to be involved in the future, the medical work you're going to be involved in the future. Some will really thrive, some will produce, some will not even get off the ground, some will get off the ground, look good, and then be choked out. This is what happened in some of this little niche ministry of In His Image that I'm talking about. We've all been involved in it, but a few people have done these, what we call our consultations. And the consultations are, to me, an exciting part. And Mitch asked me to tell a little bit about myself as getting into it and to share with you about how I got into some of these activities. And to me, it's exciting, thriving, and part of that 100-fold growth and development. I accepted Christ when I was 9 years old. Mitch said he wouldn't tell you how old I was. I accepted Christ at age 9, so I've been on my walk with Christ for 76 years. So that anybody that can add, know that I'm 85. And thankful for being 85. Thankful for being 3 times older than some of you. As I was growing up, I thought I wanted to go into medicine. When I was in high school, I went to my high school counselor. I told him I wanted to be a doctor. I'd been impressed by our small family doctor in a small town in Missouri, and I want to be a doctor. Well, the high school counselor said, well, I'm not so sure about that. Number one, you're not smart enough. And number two, your parents can't afford to send you to medical school. It's an 8-year gruel, and it's very hard and very tough. And so I wouldn't recommend that you plan on medicine. So I gave it up. I said, okay, I'll go be a journalist. I'll be a sports reporter. I like sports. I'll be a sports reporter. My first freshman year in college, freshman English 101 decided for me that I was not going to be a writer, that I didn't have the whatever it took to be a sports reporter. But I was a Christian, and I thought I might want to be a minister. And so I took, in college, I prepared, took prep courses to go either to medical school or to, you need to? I apologize. I keep looking around and I'm not, I'm okay. And if I get, but I couldn't decide whether I wanted to be a minister or a doctor. And I said, well, I'll prepare for both and I'll let the Lord decide. Well, it came my senior year and I still didn't feel a call as to which avenue I should take. So I said, well, I'll apply to both, and wherever I get accepted, that's where I'll go. Well, the Lord has a sense of humor. I got accepted to both. And so I was pushed to decide, do I want to be a doctor or a minister? And I said, if I'm a minister, I may be more limited to a pastoral sort of a ministry. I thought maybe I was interested in missions. But as a doctor, I can do both. You can be a minister, you can preach regularly, you can teach regularly. And so I decided to go to medical school. Went to medical school, worked back then in an internship, and there was a doctor draft then, so everybody had to work in some sort of government service. I spent 2 years working on the Navajo Indian Reservation in a little town called Fort Defiance, Arizona. Worked there, practiced there, and it really was the equivalent of a mission. We did everything. I spent of the 2 years, I spent 6 months working with a pediatrician, 6 months with a surgeon, 6 months with an internist, and 6 months OBGYN. And you got a lot of additional experience. At the end of that time, my wife and I decided we wanted to test out this mission stuff. So we went to Puerto Rico as missionaries, worked at a little 40-bed hospital. We had to do it all. We had to do high-risk OB, we did a lot of surgery. There was another mission agency loaned us a surgeon one day a month, and he taught a lot of us a lot of procedures. We did those sort of things. And came back to the States, and I'm older than family medicine, so I took a specialty training, and I don't admit this in public very often. I took an internal medicine residency because I figured I'd done a lot of OB, I'd done a lot of surgery, I'd done a lot of pediatrics, and with a pediatrician. And so I took internal medicine, which was at that time the broadest of specialties. And so I thrived on that. At the end of my residency, the dean of the medical school called me in, and I thought, oh boy, what did I do now? How did I get in trouble? And he said, there's this new specialty called family medicine. He said, you've had a varied experience and background, you got a lot of experience, you've got credentials now that'll be accepted in medical school. I want to offer you a job, and I want you to start a new family medicine residency program. So I said, well, I got to learn about this. But I had an epiphany experience back in Puerto Rico one night. It was one of those nights in which it was raining babies, a nice full moon. I think in a 24-hour period, I delivered 6 babies. And I was sitting there at 3:30 in the morning, and my head in my hand, tired. And I said, you know, somebody should be training doctors to do what we're doing here. Somebody should be training doctors to do surgery, to do OBGYN, to do peds, to take care of adults, to take care of elderly people. I thought, well, that's an interesting thought, filed it away. But it came back to me when the end of my residency, when the dean called me in and offered me this job. I said, oh my gosh, this is exactly what that dream I had back in Puerto Rico in the middle of the night, many years ago. So I took the job. And as I was starting the residency there at the University of New Mexico, I developed an ongoing friendship through a series of meetings with a guy named Dr. John Crouch, who's one of my heroes. I'm going to talk about some of my heroes this morning. I can't name some of them except by first names, but John Crouch I can talk about because he's here, and you all know him. John influenced me, and John asked some key questions. He and I discussed on multiple occasions, is it possible to have a family medicine fully accredited residency program that is faith-based, that is Christian? We discussed this, came to the conclusion, yes, it is possible. You have to meet the RC requirements, you have to meet the educational criteria, you have to have patience, you have to have the training programs, but you can do it. And it can also be faith-based, it can be Christian. So as I was starting the residency at UNM, John was here in Tulsa. At that time, he was actually in San Bernardino. He came to Tulsa, and the work that you all are participating in and seeing here is a result of John Crouch. So he's one of my heroes. He started this program that you all are enjoying the fruits of. So I'd like to switch back now to some of the teaching that Jesus does. I want to come back pursue forward. I skipped a paragraph. When John and I were developing these two residency programs, we communicated a lot. I visited back and forth. I've been coming to Tulsa at intervals from 2 to 3 to 5 or 6 times a year for 40 years. A couple times a year now. It's fallen off some. But it was fascinating to watch the difference between a residency growing program and a secular state university, and the kind of people that were here at a faith-based residency program. It was like night and day. I think it's one of the reasons why I kept coming back. I'm proud of the work we did at UNM. It was needed, and it was an important part of that. But it was logarithmically different than the kind of spirit-led, spiritually minded people who were learning and being trained as family medicine residents. So that association is what led me to my participation and my joy and my commitment and my continued participation within His Image residency program. Jesus said, so then we led through a series of needs. People started asking us, some of the graduates. Bill McCoy, you've heard about this morning. You'll hear from him tonight, so I'm not going to say a lot about him. A real hero of mine. He went out and has been a missionary in Africa and then to Papua New Guinea for 32 years. And was blessed to do one of our consultations with him and another one of his offspring, John Crouch's offspring, but Bill's residency offspring in PNG. So we developed a need. We recognized a need for these residency programs that could be faith-based. And the key aspect was developing them in mission hospitals. Mission hospitals have developed all over the world. In India alone, when we spent a year in India, at one time there were 500 mission hospitals in India. They've fallen by the wayside now. They've run into some brambles. But there's a need. If you add service and witness to medical education, to me that completes or really fulfills the aspect of family medicine education. Mission hospitals existed for 200 years or more as sites for delivering care, providing service, and witness of Christian evangelism. But then when you mix medical education in that, it's a whole other experience, and it adds to it. And so when people started asking in His Image, well, can you come and tell us how to do what John Crouch did many years ago? Can you find anybody else to come and help us? Well, Chris Jenkins, one of the faculty, and a brother of mine, literally, in so many ways, and I banded together and started going out on these trips. And we have now done, I've looked up, we've 64 residency consultations in 23 different countries on 6 continents. There's not a family medicine residency yet in Antarctica. But we've traveled to 6 continents and 64 residency consultations. It's taking from a week to 2, occasionally even longer. In which we go in and wrestle with people deciding whether to start a new program, how to continue it, how to make it better, and we do continuity consultations. We have done in the country in East Asia. We've done consultations, 8 different consultations over about a 10 or 12 year period to one residency program. It's been very highly successful. But not all were successful. Jesus talked about some falling on hard grounds. We did a residency consultation, one of them in a country in Eastern Europe. And this was a fascinating, totally different program led by Christians. And they had been providing service, been providing health care, and providing evangelism work. They wanted to add medical education to it. We thought it was a neat model. And we said, let's go for it. We'll help you give advice. Unbeknownst to us, the people who were involved in education and who were involved in, who were involved in service and evangelism were threatened by adding education to it. And right after we left, when we came home, they got in a big fight. And it was so dysfunctional that it basically caused them not to have the education component. They didn't start a residency program in conjunction with this program. The seed fell on hard ground. And it really, to us, was disappointing, but Jesus prepared us for that. Some seed's going to fall by the wayside. Another one that didn't work, we went to a program who was interested in starting a family medicine residency. We consulted with them, and we thought it was possible, recommended that they start it. And lo and behold, they started it. They started working on it. But the person who was going to be the head of it was in that sandwich generation. His children were in college, and his parents were getting old and had bad health, so they came home. That particular program said, oh, well, our country doesn't know anything about family medicine anyway. This is a country in Africa. And it fell by the wayside. It was getting started. And I don't say this denigrating what they did, but they started, in essence, a Med-Peds program. But it was lost to family medicine. And it sprouted up, but for lack of nourishment, fell by the wayside. Another program that was choked out by external forces was by the weeds that Jesus said would come and choke out some programs, was in a country in South Asia. And I was granted a sabbatical leave from UNM to go study family medicine in a place that had never heard about it and didn't have it. Spent a year there, identified some tremendous needs in a medical school, and we started a little family medicine residency program. Felt quite good about it. But they didn't have the leadership. This particular medical school was not devoted to primary care. It was specially oriented. They wanted to train for South Asia specialists of all the big courts, have all the high-tech stuff. And family medicine fell by the wayside. Not long after I came back, they started nibbling away, transferring faculty salaries to other departments, transferring resident salaries to other departments. And within a couple of years, I think they had 2 graduates, and it was choked out by weeds, by brambles. So Jesus told us that the ministries that we're going to get involved with. However, that's 3 examples out of the 64 consultations we've done. The others have been tremendous. They have manifold 60, 30, 60, even 100-fold. And I'd like to share some of those about some of those are my heroes. One of my heroes got an award. The first 2 of my heroes got awards this morning for longevity here. One of them, I guess I can say, I'm supposed to be a bit judicious about use of names and countries. A guy named Chris went to a place in East Asia, started a family medicine residency program. It was delightful. We did multiple consultations there. We came and went for a few years. And when I saw his work there, he became one of my heroes. It was tremendous work. He influenced another, in his MH graduate, who went out there on a rotation and spent time with him. a woman named Linda, who went to his country in East Asia and became a leader in that program, and actually eventually took over the leadership and the residency director from Chris. When he came back to be a member of your faculty, Linda stayed on and became the director. She ran into some brambles after many years. She was ethnic Chinese and born in Myanmar, educated in England, did her residency at In His Image. Tremendous witness, beautiful person, fantastic Christian, great teacher, but they wouldn't renew her visa. So she went on now and is a professor in a medical college not too far away in another country in East Asia. And has a master's in medical education, and now has become one of our consultants. As Chris and I can't say Chris, as I'm getting older and finding a need to not do so many consultations, Linda is now one of our consultants, and she's able to do this with a master's in medical education. Another one of my heroes was a graduate who went to another country and started a family medicine residency, and pointing out some of the influences that they make. He ran into a husband and wife team of young doctors who were believers and who wanted to gain medical education and go back and take over the residency that Matt started. Matt, one of my heroes too. And he came back and he spent 10, 12, whatever it was, years in that country in Central Asia, started a residency program. The young couple that I mentioned came to In His Image, received training, stayed on for a year, learned some things about teaching, went back, took over his job. That residency program is now thriving as a believing family medicine program. They now have two clinics that were not damaged in the recent rioting and uprising. So Matt influenced not only a training program, but people to come back, continue their education here and In His Image, and then go back and to work. Really, truly exciting. And these consultations, to go and to spend time with them is to me just exciting. And we see the fruit growing and developing 30, 60, 100-fold, where people are going, by adding medical education to medical missions is a way to change healthcare in countries. Another, not on one of the sixth continent, not technically known as the sixth continent, but another important one that we did consultations with was to I guess I can't say this. I technically can't say it because I really want to. I'll say the son of John. Remember I told you about my hero John. Well, his son went to a huge island in the South Pacific, and we worked with Bill McCoy for years. And they've taken over now. They've added medical education in this beautiful, incredible setting. They started a residency. They trained the first native Papua New Guinea family doctor, a young woman who's now stayed as faculty in that residency. Her husband is taking a surgical residency in that program. It's in a hospital that's incredible, busy, incredibly busy. But they have surgeons, they have pediatricians, they have pediatrics, they have family medicine, they have internal medicine, 120 some beds, multiple wards. They do tons of high-risk OB. And their goal is to train family doctors to go into an area where mountain range upon mountain range upon mountain range goes out from this little valley where they are. Train doctors, indigenous, native Papua New Guinean physicians to go out into those mountains where there's basically, it's safe to say, there's very little health care beyond where Bill and Mark were. 800 different tribes with 800 different languages, all across mountain range after mountain range, can be influenced. And they have no health care now other than some ritualistic healers. But these these Christian family practice residency programs can have a tremendous impact. So, looking at some of those heroes, another one quickly has provided multiple generations of residency. One of our associates went and started a residency program in East Asia. Started a nice little program. They've grown. They now are sending out mission workers. They, in addition to training family doctors, that has not been quite as active recently, but they're now sending out local doctors around the world to be medical missionaries. Two of their early graduates quickly went out as graduates. They moved 2,000 miles away across this country in East Asia and started another residency program. Interestingly enough, a residency program in a country that does not tolerate Christians, does not want Christians, but by being a doctor, as Mitch said earlier, by being a doctor, they had access and they were able to train. That residency program has now grown. They have 60 residents. 60 residents. And we've done 8 different consultations to that program. And it's tremendous to see the growth and development and the impact that they've had. People have become Christians because of that. In a country where you can't, quote, proselytize, but in a country where you can answer questions. And if you get people to ask questions about faith, you can talk because you're answering questions. You're not pushing. So these consultations that, as I mentioned, are really a niche within the scope of In His Image are just one little niche that doesn't get a lot of talk. But I just want to share some of those things with you this morning because I feeling as I'm older, there clearly is a future. There's a need to continue sharing and giving advice and consulting with these residency programs. With that in mind, we've trained an additional cadre of consultants, and they're working with us now on planning for the future for these residency programs. We've got some of your faculty have just partially been trained. Now they have to go out and get some experiences and grow and develop. But there's a need, and this is a need that Image can contribute. And those of you who are back for visits, better be careful. You may get excited about one of these places and find yourself being a 32-year career worker like Bill or a 12-year worker like Chris and Matt, and then come back and teach and be here and be a part of that program. So there clearly is need for future. Another aspect of our consultations is that in Africa, there's another group of Christians, of missionaries, and one of our consultants, or 2 of our consultants actually have had extensive experience, long careers in Africa. They're wanting us to train them, teach them how to do these consultations, and then they plan to start training their own sets of mission residency programs in multiple countries in Africa. This is a whole different organization, but we're looking at Chris Jenkins is working on setting up a training program. We're going to start it by Zoom. We're going to do it remotely, follow up and then do some training of these people, and they will then go and have their own. So you can even spawn off other organizations, other mission groups to go and do this kind of work. So I just wanted to share a few things this morning about some of that niche. And as Jesus has called us, he warns us, not everything we're going to be involved in will be successful. Some will be choked out temporarily. For instance, there's one residency in East China. An Australian GP joined us. And she and Chris and I have done 8 consultations of this large 60 resident program in East Asia. She is now one of our consultants, highly successful. She has gotten a master's in medical education and is currently finishing up her work for a PhD in family medicine, which is what you can get that degree in Australia. And so we have 2 of our consultants have a master's degree in education, one with a PhD in family medicine, and there clearly is a future. And I just want to share that with you. It's just a little part of His image, but to me it's been an exciting part, and I just want to thank you for the time to share that with you this morning, and wish the Lord's blessings on all our continued work here. Thank you.
Wow. 30, 60, 100-fold. Thank you, Dr. Heffron and Rosalie, for your sacrifices in making a difference for eternity. You may have heard the analogy, if you give a man or woman a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And you guys are making a difference both in healthcare and in spiritual transformation. Let's see, Dr. Dunnick, I don't remember if you included any funny stories about Dr. Heffron or Dr. Jenkins. Okay, thank you for asking for that. So, my wife is a nurse educator, and she did some consultations in nursing schools in former communist countries, along with Dr. Heffron and Dr. Jenkins. And she was amazed they're about the only people she knows that when you're in a former communist country, at 9 o'clock in the morning, when you're traveling, from one country to another, and most people are thinking about the border crossing, Dr. Heffron and Dr. Jenkins are saying, hey, I think I can get ice cream at that place that we just stopped for gasoline. So thank you for helping make those trips so special for my wife and everybody else on the team. Well, let's see. My name's John McVeigh. I serve in administration. I'm not clinical, and many people are thankful for that. But I get to be Mr. Miscellaneous. Those of you that are joining us virtually, that are fourth-year medical students, thank you for coming. Please wave at us, even though we can't see you, but we'll receive your wave by our imagination. Let's see, speaking of first-year students and a spouse, I've got, let's see, Nat and Mackenzie, and okay, so you three, Kayla, I think you guys are the closest. Can you grab that basket up here on the floor, all the way down there? Okay. And so each of you can put 3 or 4 Bibles in your hand. So we love the Word of God, and so they're each going to put 3 or 4 Bibles in their hand. If you're one of the fourth years that are joining us virtually, there'll be something coming in the mail in a couple of weeks for you. But want to ask each of our applicants, if you can, that are here, if you can stand up, if your +1 is with you, if you can introduce him or her as well. Mention both your name loudly, and then what you consider your hometown is. And then we have a gift of a Bible that Dr. Dunnick has a special note inside that we want to give you. And so, okay, start over here. We got, oh, you need to introduce your little one too, right? So.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Dominique. My hometown is Omaha, Nebraska. This is Josiah. He's 3 months, and then this is my husband, Dimitri. And his hometown is Gadsden, Alabama.
No one knows what that is, so don't worry about it. And so, we're back to setting up, sorry.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Dominique Bockwell, and my hometown is Omaha, Nebraska. This is Josiah Bockwell. He is 3 months. We also have a 2-year-old who is Kirsten. And then this is my husband, Dimitri Bockwell, and his hometown is Gadsden, Alabama. So happy to be here.
Yay!
He's from upstate New York.
Well, I'm Tim. I'm not the applicant. My wife is getting coffee. She's the applicant. She's sorry. We're from Texas. She's from Austin. I'm from San Antonio. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Or is that all everything? Hey, we like Texas. Yay! Except for we play football. Okay. Where else?
Hello, I'm Cindy Stanton. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you so much for having us. Hello, I'm Betsy Erickson, and I'm from Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Hello, my name's Marin. I am from Houston, Texas. Happy to be here. Hi everyone, so nice to be here. My name is Michelle Smith and my hometown is Menifee, California.
Hi everyone, my name is Colton Blunt. I'm from Oklahoma City and I'm at OU College of Medicine right now.
Welcome to Oklahoma. Okay. Over here. Yes.
Hey everyone, I'm Drew Holland and this is my wife Megan. We're from Olympia, Washington. We have an 8-month-old named Norms with Grandma and Grandpa.
My name is Brandon Lingenfelter. This is my wife Anna Lingenfelter. I'm from Pineville, Louisiana. Anna's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we live in Shreveport, Louisiana. Yeah, the Tigers.
Anyone else? Let's see. Yes. Did we tell you what we're doing? We're inviting you to stand up, share your name, if you have your +1 here, and we want to, and what you consider your hometown.
Hi, I'm Julian Akram. My husband was not able to make it with me this weekend, but I'm originally from Bolivar, Missouri.
Okay, I need to practice this. Sorry, I spring that on you, Julian. Sorry, Dominique, to make you do it twice. So we'll just do another one of these next year. Okay. Let's see, what else do I get to do? Let's see, so we all like to wear our masks, right? But I also have a few goodies. We don't have these in stock right here, but Missy can help. So if you want to dress really nicely at some point in the next few months, we have some really cool IHI swag. Let's see, water-resistant soft shell jacket. Perfect just in case it starts snowing here. Okay, here's one that's not water-resistant in case you like to collect water. We have a mug to put the water in, and a hat to keep the water off your eyeglasses. So really cool examples, so I want to share that with you. Okay. Let's see, the schedule's online, ihretreat.com. We'll have free drinks and snacks in the main lobby from 2 to 4 p.m. This afternoon. The lodges are all quiet zone when you think there's any possibility of someone taking a nap, which is pretty much the whole time, right? Okay. The upstairs meeting rooms in the lodge here look really cool, but if you want to use those, you have to pay for those, so you may not want to do that. We have rented all the rooms that are on the schedule, so you can use those at any point. Some of the resident classes may want to meet at 4:30 this afternoon. If you want to find a room that's empty, that's on the schedule, that's great. Let's see, our lunch, we have a break here till about, lunch will start about 12:15, and the keys for the rooms will be available at 1:30 There's a possibility a few of the rooms may not be available at 1:30. If you have a special need, stop by before lunch, and they may be able to switch some rooms around for you. Let's see, anything else here? If you lost a pocket knife, I think it's on the registration table for now. If you expect that you'll be losing more things, those will be at the main desk tomorrow. And speaking about tomorrow, we do need people to need you to pack up and check out of your room before the breakfast time. And if you need to put the luggage, I think it's on the schedule, you can put it in the Aspen room, because the lobby will be transformed into a location for a wedding tomorrow afternoon, to which we are not invited. So I think I'm getting pretty close here. And so I think the Chiefs, I think you have a few more announcements. And so.
All right, just a couple more things. So my name is Sean Cherry, and I am the other half of Renee in marriage and chiefdom. Okay, so a couple announcements about this afternoon. So we will break for lunch at some point, and between lunch and dinner time, you have a good chunk of time, which is such a blessing, right? So I think first of all, use it as God leads. If that means rest, if you are trying to take a nap, that's okay, and rest if you need to. But also there'll be games and things going on. So if you're interested in board games, I think probably just meeting in the lobby is the best place to do it, or find people that enjoy it. So Ella, Zach, find somebody like that. But probably just in the lobbies and be where most of the games happen. And then Polar Plunge is happening. There's some chatter, so expect it. Okay, I like it. Good excitement. If you haven't heard of the Polar Plunge, you can probably infer what it is. But so let's say 2 o'clock. We'll meet in the lobby. Give us time to digest after lunch. And then 2 o'clock, if you're brave enough, come out and do the Polar Plunge. A couple more things. So to be aware of, just as far as mitigating risk of infections, so wearing your mask when you can, when you're inside in groups, washing your hands, avoiding, being wise about hugs and handshakes, although I've broken that rule already. So yeah, just being wise when you can. And then if you do have kids and you're using a babysitter, you can send the reimbursement stuff to Kristen. You can get reimbursed for that as well. So before we pray and break, there is at least one birthday in the group. I don't know if other people have birthdays, but there's one person's birthday today. So if it's your birthday, shout it out. But otherwise, Caleb Owsley, birthday today. Anyone else by chance? Is it anyone else's birthday? No. Okay. Let's sing to Caleb before we finish. Sorry, Caleb. And Caleb's, he leads singing, so we have to have Alvin, belt it out. But all right. So on three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Caleb. Happy birthday to you. Thanks, everyone. All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you for this day. Thank you for who you are. Thank you that we can gather and be refreshed and rejuvenated in rest and in fellowship and in these people that you've put around us and this calling. And thank you for your heart for us. I pray that you would just bless this day and tomorrow and this afternoon and what you have in store, that you would lead, that you would be present, Lord, through it all. Through worship, through the talks, but even just through conversations and in fellowship and in games, that you would just be present, that you'd guide and lead our hearts. Thank you for what you've already been doing and what you have planned to do. Bless the rest of this day. Bless lunch today. Thank you for those who prepared it and for this opportunity to be here, God. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. You're dismissed.